the Garden of Eden placed us in a position where there was a need for a deliverer. There was a need for someone that will come and bring salvation. And so they were gathered in heaven, and God called for a meeting. In the book of Isaiah, he said, who will go for us? Who shall I send? And then Isaiah was privileged to dabble into that meeting. And he said, I will go. But you see, Isaiah was a man of unclean lips, so he could not even go. They needed somebody that was without sin to come and die for sin. And so the best Isaiah could do was to carry the message of the coming of the Messiah. Yet, the Bible said, Isaiah looked and said, woe am I, woe unto me, for I am a man of unclean lips. And he needed a coal of fire to be dropped on his lips for purification. And it means we won't carry the message of salvation. Isaiah needed a purification of his lips. And so, Isaiah was sent to that message. Jesus came. Imagine being born and you are told that the aim of your birth is to die. It's not funny. Welcome, Pastor Crowd. If they tell you that the essence of your coming to earth is to come and die, I know a whole lot of us will be scared of such an assignment. But here was a man that the essence of his coming to earth was to die. I will prove it to you in a few minutes. The story surrounding Easter, beginning from the Last Supper to the Gethsemane experience, to all the arrest and everything, is not new to us. But I just bring little perspective to the fact that Jesus was in a hurry to fulfill his assignment. It was the human part of him that spoke that day and said, if thou willest, let this cup be taken from me. That proves to us truly that he came in the form of a man. So he came to give us the pathway to follow, that even as a man, you can still be a man and still live like Christ. So on earth was Jesus, and that's why before his death, when he asked the disciples, what do people say that I am? And he gave him all sorts of names. He said, you, what do you say I am? After Peter said, you are Christ, the Son of the living God, he told him, flesh and blood are not revealed this. It suggests that even flesh and blood too has a form of revelation in their life. But this very one, flesh and blood reveals it not. And he said, tell it not to anyone. Why is it that Jesus will do something and he will tell the people, not tell anybody? This one, not tell anybody. There is always a time of showing forth. There is always a time that is set and best for a thing to manifest. But a whole lot of us are in a hurry to do what we are supposed to do when we are not yet set or ready to do that thing. Jesus needed to go through all that he needed to go through. If they had revealed that he was a Christ earlier enough to the people, he may have died even before fulfilling what he was supposed to do before his death. Because there were things he was supposed to do to show forth something before he would die. It was when he was done with all that he said it is finished. So if it was not finished, he wouldn't have died. So at the point he said, don't tell the people yet. I am the Christ, but don't tell the people. But after that revelation, he began to relate with the disciples on the knowledge that he is the Christ. They now know him as the Christ. That was when he had to take a few of them to the mountain of transfiguration. It was after the revelation of him as the Christ that he began to tell them a whole lot of things that was due them and not the public. And after all has been said and done, he was crucified. I don't want to go into all the stories of the processes. He was crucified, and on that cross, normally it takes days for anybody that was hung on the tree, for anybody that was crucified to die. Go and make inquiries. Anybody killed by crucifixion dies after days, because nothing happened to you. They just pierce nail here, nail and down here. You stay there for days. But Jesus knew that there was no need to stay longer. One of the scriptures said that none of his bones shall be broken. The next day was supposed to be a Passover feast, not just the Sabbath Saturday. It was the season of Passover. So normally, nobody was supposed to remain on the cross till that Passover. So what they intended doing was to break their legs, so that from the shock of their legs being broken, they will die faster. the number of days they were supposed to live. They went there and they discovered that for Jesus, he had already died. Pilate was shocked. He asked, you mean he's already dead so soon? So this man came spent something years on earth, and after fulfilling it, he knew I was done. A death that was supposed to take days, he spent around 6 hours maximum to die. Because when he finished crying that cry on the cross, those 3 hours, those 3 hours of rejection from his father, those 3 hours of darkness. You check Leviticus chapter 4, verse 1 down, you see where they said the firstborn being offered blameless as a sacrifice. That was what was happening when those 3 hours of darkness was taking place, as a burnt offering and as a sin offering. Jesus was fulfilling that within those 3 hours, while the father turned his face away from him. While he was done with that, he shouted with a loud voice and he said, it is finished. He died. The Bible said what? He yielded up the ghost. So when we say someone gave up the ghost, most times when we say people gave up the ghost, they didn't give up the ghost. They died. You give up something that is in your possession. It's like handing over something. So the Bible said Jesus gave it up. Because this was what he came to do. He came to die. So he yielded it up and handed it over. He knew it was time. So when he was done, why should I be wasting time with this salvation? He was in a hurry to go to the ages to collect those keys that he needed to bring for us. He died, and Pilate said, he's there. They said yes. Now, that was, listen, it was religious people that killed Jesus. Those people were the church of old. They were the people that, this that they were having, forget about the denominational differences and all. They were the people that were representing the gathering of brethren those years. They are the ones that said this is not the Messiah. And that is why I keep telling people, you need to know God for yourself, you need to study the scriptures for yourself, you need to know what is taught in the scriptures for yourself. These were people that claimed that they knew the scriptures. They were righteous people. No wonder Jesus said unto your righteousness exceeds that of the Pharisees. They were righteous, yet it was not according to knowledge. How was it that they didn't know through scriptures that this was truly Jesus, the one they waited for? They killed him because he claimed he was the Messiah. And they were people, Sanhedrin, Sadducees, in their different hierarchical order in the church then. They killed him. Yet, the Bible still said, the scriptures, that none of his bones will be broken. They never knew that they were truly fulfilling scriptures. So when they saw that he was already dead, there was no need breaking his bones again. So one of the soldiers carried a spear and pierced his side. It is in the scripture that he was fulfilling, without knowing it. Medically, they said that blood and water that goes out, medically speaking, is as a result of a ruptured heart. When the heart is ruptured in death, once it is pierced like that, it gives out water and blood. This is medical definition. Even if we are to bring in medical terms here, it suggests that Jesus did this thing with the whole of his heart. Even his heart was given for it. But spiritually and scripturally, that water that gushed out was a representation of the spirit that was released, and that was the birthing of the new church. That blood was what he took with his disciples previously, telling them that this is the blood of the covenant. You will take this in remembrance of me. The Bible said without the shedding of blood, there would have been the remission of sin. It was not just the nails on his hands, but that blood had to gush out. In Genesis, the woman was taken from the side of the man to birth a helper, to birth a woman for man, to birth a man's bride. Jesus came to birth a new church. He came as the second and as the last Adam. So for the church to be birthed, being the bride of Christ, his side needed to be pierced. The way the side of the first Adam was pierced, the way his side was removed, he was made to fall into a deep sleep. Jesus also died for his side to be pierced, for the blood and water to gush out. The church was bettered on the account of Easter. You and I are here today because Jesus yielded up the ghost. And on Friday morning, as I was heading to one of the churches to preach on Friday morning, Good Friday, as early assistants, Jesus, I heard in my spirit, he said, raise me more evangelists. I told them in that church that day. And the focus of what I'm saying is this. They discovered that this Jesus they are actually fighting. Remember, a centurion, his name is Longinus. The centurion, after he saw all that happened, the pain in the temple town, the earthquakes and all, the centurion said, truly, this was the Son of God. It means plenty other sons that claimed they were sons of God had come. He said, this one truly was the Son of God. That became one of the first persons that benefited from the death of Christ. That guy became a great gospel preacher. So after his crucifixion, the chief priest and the high priest went and met Pilate and he told them, that liar said he was going to resurrect on the third day. So let us seal the grave very well. Let's cement and do anything we can do to see where he will come out from. And they sealed it, did all they could do, put soldiers to guard somebody that was not killed by men, somebody that yielded up himself by himself. They are using soldiers to guard somebody you didn't kill. So they set people to tell people that this man, he will not resurrect. So they began to do things to make sure he became a liar. I said there on Friday, I said if Jesus had not resurrected, salvation had already come. This one will sound somehow. Listen. The only problem was that glory wouldn't have come. The essence of the resurrection was for his glorification. Until he resurrected, there was no glory. And it is the glory that perfects and crowns it all. So that's why, if not, the essence of the death was to save man. His resurrection was to come back and give the keys of the kingdom, was to come back and give the keys of dominion that man had lost by the reason of the fall in the Garden of Eden, back to man. And then as he was coming out, he resurrected as a glorified person. So we were saved by his death, we are glorified by his resurrection. So today we are here talking about and to enjoy victory sound, all round victory. But you must do it with the consciousness that eternal victory is made perfect when you are able to also proclaim to men that this Jesus we are talking about is truly alive. Because when he resurrected, those men could not believe it, and they said, let us give people big money. It's happening today. Let's tell people that this man he didn't really resurrect. His disciples came at night and stole him. The same tomb that you see and kept soldiers to guide, you said people came and opened it up. So that is the lie. That's why Jesus said, grace me evangelists. People that will go and tell the people that this person you are talking about, he resurrected and is coming again. Maybe not everybody here, but there are some of you here that if you are in a place and somebody is saying wrong things against me, somebody is lying about me, you will tell them that this thing you are saying about Aaron Titus is not true. You will defend me there. Jesus needs people that will defend him where people are lying about him. So if in your school, if in your place of work, if in your business place, you cannot represent Jesus, you cannot tell them that truly this Jesus we are saying, forget about what everybody is saying, this Jesus we are talking about is alive, then we are not truly representing well. Your name is the highest, your name is the greatest, your name stands above them all thrones and dominions, all power and possessions. Your name stands above them all. Your name is the highest. Your name is the greatest. Your name stands above them all. All thrones and dominion, all power and possessions. Your name stands above them all. Your name is the highest. Your name is the greatest. Your name Your Jesus thing, the way you are carrying it on the head. He said, go talk to me first. If you graduate, we know. I have about 30 certificates. At least we close to my room. I have, through my MIS, I did professional courses. I have HSC 1, 2, 3. I have human resource management. I have program management, professional, and all. Trust me, plenty certificates. But there's nothing as noble as doing the work of the kingdom. This doesn't say one should not work or make money, because it's expedient and we need it. But he said, Aaron, when we come on God for this far confess, we know say you will say that no drop God from one side. How do they take live your life? How do they survive? How do they cope? How do they do everything where you do? And I said, the God where you say that we live, now be the thing. When you live and not finish, now the answer you already they come up from the wisdom. Cannot work. Since last Thursday, not this day before yesterday, Thursday, from Taraku till today, I've been on the microphone every day, like every day. I didn't even know I could still sound like this. But it's fulfilling for me. It's fulfilling. And that is when anybody connected to me, especially those God gave me to raise. The best thing I try to do is to really impart the love of Jesus in them.